Before we get into the demo or what we are going to show you, I want to touch on what is observability. Observability allows us to gain insight into a system. For even though you might have built a system, you're not going to go back into every single line of code every time you face an issue. You face an issue, right? So what observability allows you is to understand and gain insight into a system without actually by just asking it questions or monitoring the signals it emits, right? To be able to ask those questions and get an expected results, the application needs to be properly instrumented. So this is what the key pillar of this is what the base fundamentals of observability is. So observability, the three pillars of observability are logs, metrics, and traces. And with combining those two, you get a full understanding, at least enough for you to survive, understanding of what is happening inside, what is causing a performance bottleneck, why am I not getting the expected results, things like that, right? Hasura supports OpenTelemetry now for all its signals, that is metrics, logs, and traces, with one little caveat. Logs are going to be available over OpenTelemetry by release 2.35. So just hold on for another week or so for it. So why is OpenTelemetry such a big deal? It saves you time. You don't have to deal with the inconvenience of installing proprietary agents. Like your APM tool or your observability stack might come with its own agent that will reside on wherever you have deployed your application and ships data to the actual observability tool. You don't need any of those things. OpenTelemetry is completely open source. We don't need to create new connectors because OpenTelemetry has a repository full of connectors to most modern observability platforms. You get to avoid vendor lock-ins. One fine day, let's say APM platform 1 is your choice of observability tool, and you decide that it's costing you a lot, it is not giving you the visibility a lot. You don't need to change any of your infrastructure. You don't need to install an additional agent. You just change your OpenTelemetry's exporter piece to export it to the new observability tool you found, and voila, you're all set to go. And the last but most important thing is transparency. You are not installing some kind of a binary which you don't know what is being shipped to the endpoint. We don't know what data is being collected. You avoid all of those aspects with OpenTelemetry because you are in complete control of what is being read and what is being shipped to your visualization system, observability tool, whatever. Now, how do you use OpenTelemetry observability with Hasura? Hasura Cloud and Hasura Enterprise Edition, the self-hosted Enterprise Edition, both now support observability tool. Now I'm going to share my screen. You have this repository here, which gives you pretty much everything you need to get started on your own observability stack using completely open source tools. We have even built a set of dashboards that are handpicked by individual product owners at Hasura, showing what exactly matters for that specific component of Hasura. We'll go through all of these things together. How do you set this up? I hope my screen is visible and legible for everybody.
That's good.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Navigate to settings, OpenTelemetry exporter, enable it, and fill these two new variables here. There will be a third one as soon as 235 is available, which is going to be logs, and add any additional information that you might want, like, for example, any authentication headers. If you want to set an environment, let's say you have multiple Hasura environments. One is your production and one is your trial. You can set up environment variables here and click update, and we are successfully exporting. Okay. So now, how do I bring up this? It's as simple as just a Docker Compose file and an environment file. So the Docker Compose file provided in the repository has everything. It has the GraphQL engine. It has a Postgres metadata DB, a data source, a replica, all of those things. You don't need to bring up the entire stack for you to even test drive this. You can enable and disable whichever components you choose to bring it up. And pretty much everything in here is documented. You have we have even set up a few sample migrations and metadata so that you can get started quickly. Now let's go back to our observability. So this is what the end result of all of that, what we just did, gives you. You get an Hasura overview dashboard. This gives you the highest level look into what Hasura is doing at any given point of time. This combines most of the key observability metrics that Hasura emits. Like, for example, how many queries, what are the latencies of those, how many mutations, what their latencies, subscriptions if exists, any event triggers, cron triggers, all of those things are combined into one dashboard for you to get a quick overview of what is possible with this tool. If you scroll down further, you have your expanded visibility into your request rate, your latency for both queries and mutation. If you have subscriptions enabled, you have detailed and expanded view into those. Pretty much anything that Hasura emits as a signal, you can add it here. You can track them here. Now, being the good friendly folks we have given you a set of pre-built dashboards. Like I said, this was built in consultation with pretty much all the product owners. There is two broad categories. General, you get a system monitoring dashboard wherever if you're running this on your self-hosted environment, you can actually see the system parameters, basic fundamental statistics. Are any of your Hasura components down? For example, you might have multiple data sources connected using multiple data connectors. We check the health status of all of those. We check the CPU, storage, memory, swap usage, all of those things here. And you can go into, yes, some of this is showing as failed. Those are on purpose because I have not connected those connectors. You can actually see the communication statistics and the health stats for pretty much all the Hasura components in here. We track them over time. We graph them out in detail so that you can see what happened, when, how, all of those things. And there are specific dashboards for, let's say, Hasura events. Okay. I don't have any events running right now, but there have been events that have run in the past, so you can actually see how many events. Oh, there you go. How many events were triggered and how many were successful. This is a dashboard specifically if you just want to monitor your GraphQL endpoints. You get to see queries, mutations, and their time-based expansion. Hasura Health gives you a comprehensive health check for Hasura itself, data sources, all a latency check for whether or not Hasura is performing. We ping the v1/health endpoint and make sure that we get a response, and we chart it out for you. It tracks the number of Postgres connections. We are going to skip the logs and traces because logs and traces is coming as part of 2.35. It should be out, I believe, in a week or so.
That's right.
Yeah. And for OpenTelemetry, the old exhibit meme, we want to monitor our own monitoring solution. So how many traces, how many metrics were sent, and how many have failed. You can see all of those things here. And there is a specific dashboard for subscription. So all of this is built using a select few open source component. And by virtue of them being open source and available for you, and the code being public, you don't have to be limited by what we just showed you here. For example, if you want to set up alerts based on how certain parts of your system is behaving, you can set up those alerts. Let's go here and find out alerting. We have set up some alert rules here, but again, you don't have to be limited by any of these things. So if you go into Prometheus expressions are the easiest way to build these alerts and charts and graphs. Go in there, and if you don't want this to be, if there has been an increase in GraphQL errors over the last 5 minutes, trigger an alert. If you want it to be 1 minute, if you have a mission critical system and you want to be known after a minute, feel free to change that. None of these things, you are free to extend the functionality of this dashboard. You're free to extend you're free to pick and choose whatever components you like. Again, if you want Prometheus and Grafana, they provide a set of first-class integrations for external plugins. For example, if this alert wants to create an IRP alert, your instant response platform, say, for example, PagerDuty. PagerDuty has a first-class plugin integration with Grafana, which allows you to, when this alert is triggered, set a severity and send it out to PagerDuty, and the alert goes out to your entire organization. And for tracing, yes, tracing you will be able to see once 235 comes, you will be able to see tracing here. So for now, I'm going to use Jaeger to demonstrate the tracing. You can pick and go to the Jaeger UI and pick and choose the endpoint you want to monitor. Pick and choose the endpoint, and let's find some traces. No tracing for the last hour. Let's take for last 2 days. There you go. There are some traces. You can click on here and you get a complete distributed view of where your request spent time and how much time it spent on various components here. As you can see, it hit the endpoint. It spent 97 microseconds to parse the GraphQL. Hasura took another 299 microseconds to resolve an execution plan, and it passed on to Postgres, which spent majority of the time in Postgres before sending us the results back. The same functionality you can, once 235 is out, you can expect in the Grafana dashboards too. Again, all of this is completely open sourced and available for you. Just to give you an example of how you can extend this dashboard, you can go into Grafana dashboards, pick a dashboard you want. Sorry, let's go to a Hasura dashboard. You have everything you need here, and you can just change the code. And happy observability, everybody. Enjoy.
Raju, thanks so much. Appreciate it.